Okay, so hi everybody. My name's Jackie Boyle, and I'd like to welcome you to somebody that's not muted. Sorry. And I just wanted to welcome you to Dr. Joseph Ahrens' calls. So each week we're going to have a call, and I want to welcome you, Dr. Ahrens. How are you this week?
I'm good, thank you very much. It's good to be here. Sorry for that technical problem, but we'll power on.
Yeah. So today's call, where we're looking at with Dr. Ahrens, like he has an extensive, as I said, stellar career in regards to what he's done throughout his life. So he comes with a lot of credibility, a lot of knowledge behind him into animal and plant and health in regards to what his creations have been through Mylyn, which has been a phenomenal product, but also 24/7. And today we are going to talk about the missing link in weight management. And, you know, as a global concern for us, you know, weight management is an epidemic because being overweight and even being underweight can create a lot of health issues for people. So we are really excited to have Dr. Ahrens to be able to share his knowledge in regards to what actually is missing in today's diet in being able to manage our weight more efficiently and safely and be able to see the knowledge that we can actually gather from him. So I'll hand that across to you, Dr. Ahrens, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry for that delay. You know, all of you deal with these computers and stuff, and sometimes they just don't work how they should. But I'm really glad that you're here. It's an honor to be able to speak to you. We're holding these weekly calls so that we can just learn more about what's going on in our bodies. And, you know, it's all about information. And the more information you have, the better you're able to make good decisions. This week, we're going to talk about weight management and the issues. It will, to give you information, it's not going to, maybe you can learn how to lose weight or gain weight, but I really want you to know more about your body so you can make good decisions. So let's start out with the most common thought is that, you know, you take on too many calories, more calories than you can use, and your body stores those excess as fat. And so people tell you, hey, just don't eat so much. Eat or exercise more, take in less calories, eat more protein and vegetables and fiber, and less calories, especially from carbohydrates and fats and starches. Well, that's really something very simple to say, but it's not actually very simple as far as your body is concerned. First of all calories are not the same. So even though you will consume calories, some of them are destined to be processed differently than others. Some of them will go right to fat tissue. Some of them will go to glycogen storage, which is it's like a body starch that is in your muscles that's ready to be used when your blood sugar gets low. And then, of course, a lot of it just floats around in your bloodstream. And even in sugars that we take in, there's all types of sugars. There's sugars from milk and sugars from fruits and sugars from table sugar, starches and potatoes. They're all a little bit different and are processed a little differently. You know, sucrose, table sugar, it's made up of glucose, which you know is your blood sugar, and it's also made up of a molecule of fructose, fruit sugar. So those two together, glucose and fructose, they're called sucrose. They're actually two little units together, and they bust apart, starting with some products right in your mouth, and your body takes them up each differently, glucose and fructose, through two different pathways. And they shoot rapidly into your bloodstream. They're pumped into your bloodstream, whereas some of the other starches go into your bloodstream very slowly. Why is that important? Well, if you take in these calories as just like pure glucose, table sugar as an example, or easily digestible starches like what's going to be in a cracker or some bread that you might eat, if you take those in, the immediate response is your body pumps out insulin. And insulin's job is to open other cells to let that sugar in, but its main job is to take that sugar and put it right into fat tissue. So if we can let the sugars into your body slowly, regulate that, insulin does not appear up so quickly, and those sugars are able to move around in your body without going first into fat tissue. Because a long time ago, when we were running around in loincloths or whatever, we were just starving for sugar sources. And when our body came across, for instance, honey or, or cane sugar, it would gobble them up and jam them into your fat for later use. If you were under attack at the time and you had glucose in your blood, your body would use that glucose to get your muscles and heart going so you could run away or fight. But if your body was not in a fight, its stuff goes immediately right into fat. So that's the first rule. When you take on calories as sugars, you need to consume them in a type that enters your body slowly. So larger starch molecules, not bread, but things like what you'll find in fruit. And the calories in vegetables, they will enter your body slowly. They won't flood into your body. They're resistant to breakdown. So these are called resistant starches. Eat more of those. And I want to develop a list for people. I mean, you can get this online yourself, but you might like to hear it from me. I'd like to develop a list of those sugars and starches that you should consume if you have a choice, that will enter your body slowly, and insulin will not come on immediately and then immediately push those sugars into fat. We want those used up in your body. So don't eat too many of them, and choose the ones that are more resistant. Another issue is appetite. Once you are on a high carb diet, especially refined carbohydrates like breads and pastries and pasta, your body gets used to those. And no matter how much effort you make to get rid of those, your body wants them. It had them yesterday, it wants them today, it'll want them tomorrow. So the changes you see are going to be slow. The long-term changes are going to be slow. So you cut back those sugars, and your body says, wait a second, where are all those sugars I had yesterday? And you're trying to be nice and eat better, and you switch over to more fiber and protein, less refined carbohydrates. Your body's not going to have anything to do with it. It says, wait a second, I want to stay where I was yesterday. I'm used to getting what I want. And so it makes you hungry. It activates several enzyme pathways that actually reside in your fat tissue. And it makes you hungry, makes you seek out those carbohydrates that you had before. It's one of the reasons, even though you're getting enough calories, and from a calorie point of view, your body should not be hungry. If you get away from those refined carbohydrates, your body wants that one. It wants those. It's like drugs to your body. It lights up all the places in your brain, just like heroin does or cocaine. So you've got to do a couple of things. First of all, you got to cut back a little bit slow. You don't go, okay, I'm going to get on a new diet. I'm going to cut out all the refined carbohydrates, and it's a recipe for disaster. You need to do it slowly, little by little. Take a month. Have a good plan. Don't go on crash diets. Take a month. Slowly move over from less refined carbohydrate to those more difficult to digest starches and sugars that don't shoot into your bloodstream so quickly. That will keep things like leptin, which is a hunger enzyme, from coming on the scene and looking for those carbs and forcing you physically to hunt for them. And that's really what was going on in hundreds of years ago. We couldn't find that honey we found yesterday. We go out and look for it. I want some more of that. So we actually are programmed in our brain to look for them, and it even can get desperation and anxiety. These are all chemically bound together, trying to force you to go out and find those carbs. I gotta have it, I gotta have it. So the other thing about that is your body, if you pull those refined carbs away, it will make its own refined carbs out of other things, other acids. You don't even need the sugar. You cut out all the sugar in your diet, your body's going to say, wait a second, my blood sugar is too low. And even though it was too high, your blood sugar is, your body's going to try to pump it back up. So it'll start making sugars out of acids. And your citric acid is a base for it. And it'll start making sugars out of acid. And your blood sugar will go right back up. So that's another reason. Switch over slowly. Those are two reasons to do that now. Switch over slowly. Don't do it. That's why a lot of these diets fail. Okay, you're doing great in a couple of days, maybe a week, but your body wins. And it's, I'm looking for those other refined carbs. It starts making its own sugar, and you can't win against your own body. Switch over slowly, and use calories that come from they can come from sugars, but use the sugars that don't just skyrocket right into your bloodstream right away, like glucose does in particular. So, you know, there's a lot of other sugars. The ones in milk are called mannose, by the way. The ones in fruits are fructose. But you need to try to stay away from the pure glucose, which is what bread is. It's just pure glucose that's dried, put together. Tastes great. It's wonderful. I like it too. Pasta. I'm a pasta addict, even in the best of times. But, you know, I eat it with other things. I eat it with those things with roughage, with fiber. That'll also help the sugars. They'll have difficulty getting through your stomach and intestines because that fiber's in the way that actually covers them up. This is why one of the reasons a sweet potato is much better for you than a white potato. The sweet potato comes with a lot more fiber, and it gets in the way of your enzymes trying to break down that sugar and get it into your bloodstream. It gets in the way. It also has a different type of sugar in it. Yes, it does have glucose and starch, but it has some other sugars in there. And it also has a whole lot more vitamins and minerals for you. It's really a superfood if you're going to take on a potato, or there's other potatoes, purple and all. But if you go for the white ones and the yellow ones, they're just a bomb of pure sugar, unless you eat the peel. So, hey, I'd say eat the peel if you got to have that white potato, but it's rather not do that. Just stay away from those very easily digestible starches like you find in potato and in wheat. So I hope you can at least remember those two important guidelines, and that is eat sugars that are not so readily digestible. We'll put up a list and you can do that, or go ahead and look up on yourself and Google resistant starches. That's the technical name for them, resistant starches. And they can still be sweet, but they're much more difficult to digest. Another thing is eat more fiber. That slows down that process. And of course, don't eat as much. And do this slowly over time. Take a week, take 2 weeks. If you came to me and we started working together to change your diet, I said, look, we're going to go on a year-long journey. You know, it took you 30, 40, 50 years to where you got to today, and you want to change it in 30 days. Yeah, I understand why you would want to do that. But from a biological point of view, let's go on this journey, and let's start the first month cutting back and changing the sugars that you were taking in. Add more fiber and do it slowly. And then your body won't hijack you and say, oh, I'm going to make more sugar. No, it won't do that. It'll let that happen if it happens slowly. And if you track it, those of you that track your blood sugar, you wake up in the morning, it's 180, you know, hopefully the next day by changing your diet might be 175, 178, and then it goes to 170, 165. Takes a long time. But if you jam it down, ignore everything I said, and you just cut off all the sugars, and you wake up and you're 102, and you say, yay, your body says, wait a second. No, as soon as it wakes up, it's going to bump those sugars back up without you even eating anything. Without you even eating anything, it will raise your sugar level, because it's been taught, mostly by ourselves, that the high sugar level is where it's supposed to be. It's called homeostasis, where it wants to stay that way all the time. So it's trying to get back to homeo, which means same. Stasis means position. It wants to be in the same position. So don't fight that. Let it be your friend. We're trying to do two things: keep your body from making new sugar, on its own. And we're also trying to have the insulin not come on so fast and then jam all that sugar in your fat tissue. We want it to come into your bloodstream slowly and get burned up in your brain. You know, that's, your brain runs on glucose. If you cut all the glucose out, you couldn't operate. You'd start, yeah, you could switch over to ketones, and that's the basis of the keto diet. But by and large, it still needs glucose as a baseline to operate. So if you do this slowly, again, I'm repeating this because if you do nothing else, this is worth listening to this. Do it slowly. Keep insulin from peaking, spiking. Now you might see from that, it is, if you're trying to lose weight, it is much better to eat many more meals during a day instead of just cutting back. Well, I'm not going to eat breakfast, or I'm not going to eat lunch. Well, you've cut back your calories, but it gives your body still a chance to see, oh, high sugar, low sugar, I'm going to fight this. But if you take the same amount of calories and spread them out on a day, let's say you go to 2,000 calories, and then you start giving 10 meals, 200 calories a meal, your insulin will not spike up so high. Again, you are avoiding it putting all this right directly into your fat tissue. And that's not very difficult to achieve. Just go from 3 meals a day, go to 5 meals. It's better, it's good to snack. This is one of the reasons people say, oh, taking a little snack here will help you from having a big appetite later. Well, that's true, and there's a biological reason for it. So I would say, have resistant starches, eat more meals, don't quit all at one time, take time, do it little by little. And then your insulin won't come in there when it sees all that massive big spaghetti meal you have at night and start putting everything right into fat tissue. And it's doing that because it doesn't know when it's going to get its next meal. This is an automatic system. So it sees a flood of excess glucose and sugars in your bloodstream. Okay, let's put them in the fat. We're going to need them later. We're going to need it later, tomorrow morning or next week. Put it there. And so then in combination with these enzymes like leptin that tells you if you're hungry, leptin sits back in your fat tissue and it watches and see if we're getting enough fat. Are we getting enough fat? Well, if you've given it all that stuff for years, and it says, hey, wait, there's not enough, insulin is not delivering enough fat to me. And then it all by itself tells your body you're hungry. So you can have strategies to lose weight. It's not so much the changing of these diets. They're good. There's all types of diets. And some I like, some I don't. But the fact that you're trying to make a change really is great. I appreciate that. But you can increase fiber, change the type of sugars you eat, and you won't get that hungry. You will get a little hungry. You've eaten this way for years. You're going to get a little hungry. And let me tell you about, I'll tie in here the product that we made. And even though most of you that know me, know I'm not a salesman. I don't do that stuff. I'm just a scientist, but I'm excited about the product because we discovered this in like 2007, 2010. And we found out that this Mylyn that we've talked all about has a component in it that is missing in our diet. It's missing. It helps process these sugars. It's like a sugar processing vitamin. Just like vitamin C helps to stay away from rickets and vitamin D scurvy, it's a processor of carbohydrates. And without it, what happens? The sugar just goes straight into that fat. It goes in quick, you eat it, goes in quick into your bloodstream, goes right into fat, you're out of luck. But this myristin is the name of it. The myristin and the chlorogenic acid and the quercetin in there work together to manage that sugar. It gets into your bloodstream slowly. Good. No big insulin spike. And it keeps it out of fat tissue. It kind of closes those doors. It calms leptin down. And it pushes the sugar that's in your bloodstream into your muscle and brain tissue. So it's not something that sits on top of what's going on in your body. It's really essentially required to process carbohydrates. And we don't get enough in our body. If we did, I'd say go out and eat all these old ancient blueberries and currants and drink muscadine wine, because that's where it's found out in nature. The dark berries are where you're going to get these things. dark, but the darker the better. But even in those very dark berries, there's not enough in nature. We've bred them out, and even if you process it a little bit, it goes away, and there's almost nothing. There still is some in blueberries in particular, blackberries, and muscadine grapes. They have a lot. Muscadine has the most of these components in it naturally. But boy, you'd have to eat so many of those. It's not like, 1,000 years ago where you're out in the woods and you find some of these small, non-commercial berries and you would sit there and eat them. And you did that normally as you went through life. You'd scavenge. You know how it worked. Everyone's been taught this. You go through the bush and you hunt for things. And as you found roots, you'd eat them and dig them up. And they're also rich in these compounds. But then you come across the little berries and eat those as you're going along, and you've got your myristotin. No more. So I do advise you to supplement yourself with what we found here, this product that helps manage sugars. You know, it has another effect too. It has two roles, and the other one is to manage your inflammation system. And that also is eating more is part of your defense mechanism. If you're getting under attack, your body doesn't know necessarily why, but it feels bombarded with poisons, or a tiger is going to jump on you and you're running through the woods and it's looking to take in glucose and pull it out of fat and use it, and you're just trying to survive. This is part of our survival system. Well, inflammation comes into that, and it speeds up your heart rate, and it increases blood flow, your capillaries expand. That's all part of the inflammatory system. And then once the threat is over, then that all calms down. But our problem in this modern age is the threat is never over. We're always being bombarded with things from our environment, and we don't have enough of this inulin in our bloodstream. So this inflammatory system gets kind of runaway. It's already got poisons and stuff in the environment. It gets runaway, out of control. And one of the things, that response, that immune system response, which inflammation is the first in that immune system response, is to make you go get hungry so that you can recover from whatever is attacking you, even if it's a cut. It wants you to take on food to help rebuild you. So you've got your inflammatory system out of control. Everyone does, unless you're eating this stuff already. And you're eating sugars that are refined, and too much of them, and it's just, how are you going to win? So you've got to get your immune system under control, under good management, because it's going to make you hungry. Well, of course, you're cut, you've got poison, got a virus attacking you. It wants you to take in food. It wants you to eat that chicken soup, to build up your body. But as you're constantly under inflammation, it's making you hungry. So that's extremely hidden, that you have to have your immune system under control in order to avoid being hungry. And I really only want to cover one other product here, because we came up at the request of some owners of Valentis to provide a weight management system that wasn't related to coffee. And so we did. We came up with 24/7. And all of these things that I've been telling you about, your immune system and your hunger, processing and sugars, we selected natural compounds from several different plants that we knew a long time ago, when the human body was invented. That's what we ate. We didn't find some weird things growing and strange things. We said, back in those days, this is what humans ate. Let's put those in a capsule. We know this thing here helps you with your appetite. And over here, this one helps process sugars. And what we're trying to do is actually have you have a good diet. I don't know what each one of you are eating. I could see that and say, okay, you're not getting enough of this, or you're not getting enough of that. And all of our current blood tests that everyone does, so you go to the doctor and you get a blood panel. It's got all the vitamins you've got in there, and how much iron, and are you healthy or not, and looks at your liver functioning. None of these compounds are on that test because it's just now gotten out to the public. I hope one day that the blood panel will say, oh, you don't have enough myristotin in your body. You need to eat more myristotin, or at least supplement yourself with a product like inulin. I hope that happens one day. But right now, it's not, and I'm telling it to you. You need to have inulin in your diet. as a basis to control and manage your carbohydrates and your immune system. The 24/7 on top of that, layered on top of that, really helps not just your appetite and causes you to want less, and will help process those sugars, which it certainly does. But between the two of those, it really establishes, it resets your body where it needed to be. You have not had these types of compounds in your diet your whole life. Your whole life. I wish that you had been on these. Well, I didn't, my team, you know, I just sit back in a white coat and everybody comes and tells me what they found. And I thought, oh, that sounds like a good idea. So the team did discover that, hey, look, it looks like mammals, and not just humans, but your dogs and your cats and even dolphins, they need this stuff. They need it. And people that have even given it to their dogs, wow, their skin, dog's skin inflamed, goes down, and stops having mange and starts losing weight. And, you know, you can't trick them. They just take the stuff you put in your food. You can't trick them by fancy advertising, or they can't even watch the video of me talking here. And you talk to people such as Ms. Balls, she'll tell you, wow, this changed everything. So that's my message for you this evening. I'm sorry that I was 8 minutes late, because I'm glad the batteries held out here, so we're still online.
Thank you, Dr. Ahrens.
Let me just recap these 4 points. Eat less, of course, lower your calories. The calories that you do choose have resistant starches. You can find out what those are, or we'll put a post up on that soon. And you need to eat more meals. More smaller meals is better. You need to take a supplement such as amylin and 24/7, and they will reestablish where you should be, and you won't be as hungry, and you won't crave those carbs. And do it over time. Don't start, oh, I'm going to start tomorrow. It's going to be a nightmare, a crash. Take a month. Be healthy.
Dr. Ahrens, as always, like, your information that you share with us is invaluable. And I think everybody on this call, and for those that listen to this call afterwards, will agree. We just can't get enough information to be able to understand it and help us with our health and our family's health as well. So I really do thank you for that. But I've got a couple of questions here that I do want to ask. And I know this is an information session as we bring in different topics to you all, but we do like to try and relate it back to you so that you can understand, as Dr. Ahrens has, the benefits of amylin and how it can assist in the likes of weight management and what's missing in weight management, and also with 24/7, you know, because that's what it was designed for, was for weight management. But what I did want to ask you is, when we're looking at dosages, because there's been a couple of people who have asked in here, you know, taking amylin, taking 24/7 before meals, you know, when is the right time to take it? Should you take more? When is it necessary to take more than what the recommended doses are to be able to get the benefits from weight management? Is that an individual process? Like, what can you enlighten us in those areas?
Well, everybody's digestion system and blood stream, even though it has the same model, it's like fingerprints. Everyone's a little different. There are plenty of people, like, for instance, amylin. They'll take amylin and they say, oh, this is great. I heard him say how good it is. So they just take half a bottle, and it doesn't bother them at all. And I don't want you to take half a bottle, but some people can do that. And from the get-go, you know, they say, okay, I'm going to take 6 a day and get myself under control. And then when I do, I'm going to drop down to what I recommend, 2 a day. That is 500 milligrams of this product, amylin. Same way with the 24/7. And then people might take 24/7 is split into 2 parts, an AM and a PM. So one's for the daylight and one of them's for the evening. And they might double up on it. I recommend 2 capsules of the AM and 2 capsules of PM. So I don't want to cause you to have a mistake here. So let's talk about 24/7 first. It's 2 bottles. There's an AM and a PM. It's red and blue, day and night. On the AM, I would like you to take it with your meal. If you're typical, take it at breakfast, 1 at breakfast and 1 at lunch. And then for the PM, take 1 for dinner and then 1 a couple of hours before you go to bed. And you don't want to take it right before you go to bed, because you need to have it work with your sleep cycle, because that stuff works while you're sleeping. So if you go to bed at 10 o'clock, I would say, you could take a capsule at 6 and a capsule at 8 or 9, and then go to sleep at 10 or 11. If you have a different eating schedule, adjust that. Just make sure you don't take the PM closer than 2 hours before you go to bed. That would be best for it to work. Take the AM, breakfast, lunch, and the PM, dinner, and a couple hours before bed. If you want to double up on that, you can do it. But some people are sensitive to it too much. It's a change in your body. It's, well, what's this stuff? I don't know what to do with it. It should have been in your body all along, but you haven't ever had it in your body. So anytime you change your diet, and that's what we're talking about, changing your diet, even though it's just a little supplement pill, still change your diet. It's very concentrated. So you might want to do it gradually. Maybe only take one in a day and then take a PM at 7 or 8. Start out that way. But normally, typically, if you have no problem, breakfast, lunch on the AM, dinner, and a couple hours before you go to sleep with the PM. On the Mylyn, wow, everyone needs it. I'm telling you, babies, womb to tomb, everyone needs it. And you should take it according to how much you really weigh. We calculated that, and it's a US product, so we calculated in pounds. The average person looking for this, they range from 150 pounds up to 250 pounds and all the way in between. So let's just take an average 175 pounds, and we want 500 milligrams. But if you're a 300-pound person, you need to double that immediately. Anyway, just like anything you would take, like any other drug or vitamin, it's really that little stuff they have on the back of aspirin and Tylenol and anything. It says, okay, don't over 12 years old, take 2 capsules. That's really stupid, but they couldn't put a whole long graph, but it should be by weight. Because if you're twice as heavy, you need twice as much product. You got more volume, you got more blood volume. So for the average person, it's for the Mylyn, we just have 2 capsules a day. Now, if you're heavy, you need to take 4 capsules. When should you take them? After initially taking that product, it doesn't matter when you take it. But people want to say, what's your recommendation? Well, I say again, you take it anytime you want. I take mine whenever I can remember. When my schedule allows, after I exercise in the morning and get going about halfway through the day, I take a shake that I make up myself, a smoothie. I throw in a banana and a couple of things, throw my Mylyn in there, a couple other vitamins I'm taking. I take vitamin D as an example. And then I just take that all at once. And got nothing to do with the meals and all. And if you want to take 2 capsules, one in the morning and one in the evening, it does not matter. After you take that a couple of days, your body will be saturated. Remember, you need to take 4 if you're overweight, if you're bigger. And if you're real small, take 2. And this is not a weight management product on the Mylyn. It will help you manage your body, and therefore your weight will fall in line. That's how it works. It's not an artificial product you're putting in your body that a human never came across before. Man, Miracetin, as an example, is in all of these dark berries that you should be eating normally, but you can't get enough of them. So take 2. And if you have a problem like high blood sugar or you are overweight, I would even increase it. And during this time where we're having all this pandemic stuff, Mylyn doesn't cure anything, but you need a good, strong support system. So I personally take 6 a day while we're in this situation. And I know how it works, and I know that's too much. I don't care. I want to make sure I got it in my bloodstream from the tip of my ear all the way down to my toe. I want to saturate myself so I don't have I got the strongest immune system I can. But after you have started to lose weight, and after your blood sugar is lowered, and your whatever arthritis or anything you had gets back to normal, then go on a 2-a-day capsule. Now, I said that with this caveat. Some people cannot take 2 a day right out of the gate. We know some of them right here listening to us. They have to go into it slow, and they take 1 capsule a day, and they do that for a week, and then after week 2 or week 3, then they go to 2 capsules, and then if they want more after 4 weeks, they go to 3 capsules, because their bodies needs to get used to it. And that's how some bodies are. They need to get used to it. Anytime you experience a problem with these products, they're totally natural. Nevertheless, when you change your diet, your body changes, the microflora changes. You experience any trouble, which is extremely rare, just stop it for a while and go back on it gently. It'll have no trouble.
Dr. Ahrens, I have to honestly say, like, you really have answered a lot of questions that have been coming through the chat with what you have just explained to us all. And again, it's extremely invaluable, and there's a lot of people thanking you because you are answering the questions that they have actually asked. So it's not as though people haven't been asking questions. So I really do thank you from all of us for that. But I do have a question, which is, I am going to ask it because it's an unusual question from, I'm not saying that this lady is unusual, Amy Greenfield, but she did send through a request this morning. So, and I think it's a good one because she's asking on behalf of somebody that has a myclophomic, I think, epilepsy. And just wanting to know that from the brain bleed, he's actually missing 40% of his brain. He's an amazing miracle, but just wondering as to whether Mylyn would be able to assist in regards to this condition that this man is suffering with, as to what you would suggest there, please.
Okay, well, I mean, yes, that's not exactly to a weight management issue, but I can address that. Yes, absolutely. First of all, let me get back to the point that everyone needs it. So I really don't care what your problem is, you know, epilepsy or autism or high blood sugar or kidney disease, overweight, underweight. Your body needs to have a good functioning immune system. And what will eventually heal that person is their own immune system. It'll get things back in order, but it's out of whack. It's been in a horrible condition, a type of accident, really, even though it's caused by not external forces. But when your immune system is operating properly, even the signal that is operating across the synapses, when your immune system is working, that performs so much better. And when it's not, then it can misfire, and that's one of the causes of this problem. And also autistic people, they find, and Parkinson's, they find when they get Mylyn in their body, those are different disorders, but nevertheless, they have a basis of similarity in that the body is just not in balance and tune. The immune system is not functioning properly. It's attacking itself. The electric signals across the synapse get out of whack. That's glutamine that jumps across there. It comes out and it flows all around and doesn't go into where it's supposed to be. It looks just like that. Instead of going on hitting the receiver, it just floats over here. Okay, let's get that back how it should be. This is part of the immune system. You remember I told you that your body is ready to, you're under attack. You see a lion. Well, the immune system also controls all of these nerves running throughout your body. It's all tied. The control center is like your immune system. So let's get that fixed, and then those signals will fire properly. They'll fire as good as they can. If you have a genetic disorder, that will bring you to your optimum under those conditions, and you might be able to overcome that genetic disorder. And as far as the bleeding and problems like that in the capillaries, this product, it's a cousin to it, was actually discovered way back in the 40s. And it was, its main function was to help your circulatory system and for your capillaries to rebuild properly. They actually called it vitamin P for a while for permeability, because it helped those capillaries be so healthy and permeable and not broken. So absolutely, you will get a good response. But I will tell you, there's 2 types of Mylyn. One of them is Mylyn C, and one of them is Mylyn M. The C is the one they should use, because it has a very little amount of quercetin in it. And if you have any nervous disorder or something with neurological nervous disorder or palpitations in your heart, then you need to use C. M, for people that don't have any of those issues has more quercetin in it. But I know people, for the vast majority of people, they need the M. They need more quercetin. But for people that have issues such as heart palpitations or epilepsy, Parkinson's, they need the C. They need less quercetin because quercetin can aggravate the issue too much.
So Dr. Ahrens, I just realized Amy's just actually sent in the chat message, and we may actually end up having a topic on this down the track too in regards to neurological conditions and also brain health. But this particular individual is only 2 years of age. So can we just give some sort of a final thoughts in regards to a young child that's 2 years of age that is suffering, because this is what the age of what this individual is?
Yes, if when they're get on solid food, that's when you can introduce Mylyn to them, and then also do the weight calculation. You know, they weigh 20 pounds, 50 pounds, 10 pounds. Do the calculation. They're a tenth your weight, use a tenth of the dose. Just very simple. 500 milligrams for about 150, 175 pound person. If they weigh half of that, cut it in half. Same thing with animals, by the way, dogs and cats. Know their weight and just cut it in the same ratio. So yeah, if their child's on solid food, then they're able to take it.
Okay. So I want to thank you, Dr. Ahrens. I know Dr. Chi has asked a question, and Dr. Chi, we can probably answer that for you, and I know I can because it's on neuropathy. But I'd like to try and keep this call down to 30 minutes if we can. And so please, if you've got any questions, please send them through to us because we will try and get to them as quickly as we possibly can. I want to thank everybody and no other than Dr. Ahrens himself for giving up his time to be able to share this with you all. And I hope that you actually get the value out of it that I do. I have known Dr. Ahrens for nearly 4 years now, and I never stop learning. These products never cease to amaze me as to what they can do. And that's for me personally. It just amazes me. And I am somebody, Dr. Chi, that suffers with neuropathy, and Mylyn has been phenomenally amazing for me. But I think for this particular call, and I hope Dr. Ahrens is all right with this too, that I believe that we can probably go into another call another time on neuropathy, brain health, and things like that. Does that sound okay for you, Dr. Ahrens?
Oh yeah, certainly. We could just touch that on next week and put all these questions together, and we'll talk about neuropathy and other neurological issues. Okay.
So I want to thank everybody, and as I said, thank you so much, Dr. Ahrens, for joining us and for delivering a phenomenal presentation. And again, the information is invaluable, and I know that everybody through their comments is getting a lot out of this. I'd like to thank those that have actually already joined the YouTube page and have started following through. There's a lot of people that are jumping onto Dr. Ahrens' brand YouTube, so that's where the recordings are going to. So, and I'll put them up into the groups as well. And if you've got any questions, please don't stop to ask us. Make sure you do reach out, because we're trying to bring to you what we think is going to benefit us all globally, to create a greater awareness that knowledge is creating a better way of living, because that's how we can actually do that, through knowledge. So, Dr. Ahrens, I want to thank you. I really appreciate it, and I know that everybody else does too.
Okay, thank you.